Wake up 2 p.m. I don't know where we are. Looks like a cheap motel with our clothes on the floor. I don't know.
Greetings, friend. I hope you're all getting as much love this month as Vix is giving his favorite toy. No, I'm really not sorry for that. Welcome, finally, to my February 2023 bullet journal theme. Although the Lunar New Year was last month, I perhaps unwisely decided that it would be a good idea to make my theme for this month inspired by Year of the Rabbit. Okay, let's be honest, I've agonized a little bit over whether or not this was a good idea at all because it's the wrong month, and then I even spent a little time wondering if I'm losing my mind because I could have sworn some years it was in February. Time is a social construct anyway. That aside, it was already too late once I realized how poor my timing is. It looks like according to a little research I did when I was reading about another animal's year, I might be right because that particular year I was reading about was in fact in February. To be honest, I should educate myself a little more about this because I genuinely am curious. It's on the old to-do list. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this theme, to be honest. One thing I will say I like is how at least most of the lettering turned out on my little lanterns. I tried to stick to a red and gold theme for the most part, along with some colors that are kind of in that color family. I also admit that a big reason why I went for this theme is because I realized that I have a surplus of rabbit stickers that I don't think I'll ever use otherwise. They really piled up over the years, and I honestly don't put them in anything very often. Some of the inspiration for this theme also came from the Lantern Ride event from Genshin Impact this year. It's been beautiful every year, but this year in particular was absolutely gorgeous to me, and I just wanted to incorporate some of the yellow clouds that I saw on some of the decorations into my bullet journal this month. I'm not really sure what I was going for originally with this cover page because you see I'm putting some washi tape down to make a little square area for the sky, but it turns out that it was a big waste of time because, spoiler alert, I end up coloring the entire page anyway, which is something I really wanted to avoid doing. I was trying to go for something a little more simplistic, but as I do with a lot of things, I ended up overcomplicating it anyway. In the end, I don't mind how it turned out, but I definitely wasn't in love with it the night that I made it. I didn't plan on coloring the calendar page background either, but it just looked too weird not having anything going on in the background on the other side, especially since I put clouds at the bottom of that page as well. Here I'm trying to draw a cute rabbit-shaped firework. Later on when I finished it, Cody looked over my shoulder and he told me he likes how the firework turned out, but he couldn't tell it was supposed to be a rabbit. It's okay, it can be our secret glowy bunny. After drawing the firework, I thought it looked a little plain, so I took a yellow paint pen and put splotches of paint from it down, and then I tried to spread them out with a paintbrush to try to make it look more luminous. I do have watercolor paints, but other than that, most of my art collection consists of various types of brush and gel pens, so I really just had to work with what I had to achieve that look. I don't think it's the most common sense way to go about it, so I hope if nothing else it shows someone out there that if you think outside the box, you can find a way to create anything you want with what you have on hand. Well, just ignore the obvious fact that I ended up splashing paint on the poor calendar page. I do like how it looked when I went over it with my dark brush pens later, and may try playing with that effect in some other art piece one day though. So one thing I feel the need to talk about is courage, because that's something that kept coming up for me. I kept thinking about it, and then afterwards I saw a lot of people talking about it in other places. It's weird how it's almost like we all have some kind of wacky hive consciousness, almost like we're in some sort of simulation or something. Just imagine. Anyway, courage. Thinking and hearing about it so much has made me set most of my goals around that kind of theme for this month. I've been doing a lot to push myself out of my comfort zone because unless one works toward doing that, then if there are any changes you want to make with your life, you won't be able to make them. Comfort is the best, I know, But if you're discontent about anything in your life that you want changed, then you're going to have to choose which kind of comfort you want. The comfort of having what you want changed done, or the comfort of staying exactly where you are. If you think about it, there's some level of discomfort either way. I find that when I let things remain stagnant when I'm not content with them because I don't want to leave my comfort zone, I still deal with a lot of discomfort just from the things that are bothering me eating at me. A pretty small example I have is we have this strange Asian lady beetle infestation on our screened patio. I'm not sure how it started, but we had a guy come and spray for them twice now, and shortly after the first time he came, I found that there were a ton in our outside storage closet as well. They were all grouped together in the corners. It was really weird. My dad pointed out that they were probably nesting there, and that was why it ended up becoming an actual infestation. I am absolutely terrified of flying bugs. The bigger the scarier, of course, but even tiny ones get me on some level just because they fly, they can attack me. And these guys are just the right size to trigger that phobia quite a bit. So the second time the bug guy came, he tried to explain to me that there's no way to get rid of the flying bug infestations, and that they don't really nest or something. I probably wasn't really awake enough to understand him, because he showed up at a time way earlier than I usually get up. Anyway, I showed him how they had grouped up in the corners of our storage closet that I actually didn't have them spray the last time because I didn't think to, and he was absolutely amazed. He told me he had never seen that happen, and he said, "I think you're right, they might be nesting." I guess glad to help someone learn? He sprayed a bunch of stuff in there, and it was freezing cold, so it seemed that most of them had frozen to death. He explained to me that they had probably died that night. I didn't have enough brain energy to explain that they had been there for a while, so I just kinda smiled and nodded. I had asked if there was a way that the corpses could be taken care of in the maintenance request, not really expecting anything to come from it, because what a lame request, really. Maybe he would have if I asked him in person. I'll never know because it was too embarrassing to ask. Seeing all the corpses lying on the patio was one of those things that eats at me, and although I typically can't handle dealing with even insect corpses, having that nagging feeling every time I saw them outside and the feeling that the storage closet is a scary place felt worse. I decided it was time to try to take care of them myself. It was a nice afternoon at about 3 p.m. I dragged my vacuum out to the patio and hoped that there weren't any neighbors trying to enjoy some outside time and peace. I figured given the time, chances are most people would probably be at work or something. Real talk though, shout out to anyone who was out there and dealt with listening to the vacuum along with periodic screams and sobs without calling any authorities. Seeing the corpses move to get sucked up into the vacuum hose was seriously enough to make me scream, even knowing they weren't the ones moving. The patio was easy enough because sadly that wasn't the first time that needed to be done. The real challenge was the storage closet. When I went inside, the bugs that were huddled together in the corners had fallen off, making me wonder if there were any alive that morning when they were sprayed. There are a lot of little black dots I suspect might have been eggs that they were protecting. There were a lot that had stuffed themselves up into some crevice above the door that the vacuum couldn't get, and I guess that's just something I'm gonna have to live with. As I closed the door, a single bug flew out and tried to hit me, of course making me scream bloody murder yet again. I wanted to be mad, but in its defense, it probably just watched me vacuum its entire family and several generations of ancestors, so I guess it was a fair retaliation. I ended up vacuuming it because I knew with that spray, it was on its way out anyway. Finally, it was time to do something with the corpses inside the vacuum. There were so many, and I didn't want to make Cody take care of them again, and fortunately, they were the only thing in the vacuum at that point, so I very courageously dumped them out the fire escape while trying not to cry. I'm sure that was a big no-no, but fortunately, the way our patio is facing, it's overlooking some trees, which is where the bugs belong anyway, so technically, I granted them a respectful burial. So I guess I'll back up a little bit because that story lasted a lot longer than I expected it to. On the calendar page, I added the moon signs again, but this month I also decided to use this cute stencil that I got for Christmas from Notebook Therapy to color in the moon phases with a light color to write the moon sign over. I thought it would be a cute idea, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'll most likely do it again. On the sleep versus energy page, once again I color-coded the days with what part of my personal cycle I'm in. It helps to know what my energy levels are during certain phases of the cycle. Actually, it also kind of helps me gauge what my expectations should be for energy and even appetite. I almost didn't do a quote page. It's rare I actually do one because I don't find quotes I resonate with very often. But then I saw next time you think of beautiful things, count yourself in, which is something I really needed to hear at the time, so I ended up making one after all. That kind of goes into the next example of ways I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone and be more courageous this month. I'm just trying to put myself out there more and even talk into the camera. I knew I wasn't going to have this video ready in time last Saturday, and my Blooming Cat Oracle deck arrived, so I thought, why not use the chance to film an unboxing video since I always wanted to do one, and also make myself talk into the camera. It was extremely uncomfortable, and it messed with me for a couple of days mentally. When I look at myself in video or in a picture, it still looks like something completely foreign and even weird, but there's a lot of things I want to do in the near future that would involve me getting over that quick if I want to accomplish them. I did already announce that I'm going to be documenting my weight loss and that I have a lot to lose, and filming content for that has been extremely uncomfortable. You know what's more uncomfortable though? Being afraid to be seen, not moving as easily as I want, low energy levels, and not fitting into my cute clothes. It's all about choosing your discomfort, and I'm still going to document and share it all. My projects page last month was of absolutely no help to me, so I thought I would draw another calendar this month to kind of give myself a visual of when I should be working on things. I think it's helped a little bit, but I'm still behind the schedule I set for myself. The key, I think, is to just not give up. Plans have already changed as I've gone anyway. It's still awfully annoying to have these plans written in pen and to have to mark them out, just because it kind of makes me feel like I failed on some level. At the end of the day, as long as we keep trying and don't actually give up, then we're not really failures, are we? I'm really not a big fan of this border around the pages. The truth is I hated it from the start, but I felt pressured to keep making it for the sake of consistency. I was trying to echo some of the dark blue from the cover page, but there's so many different borders that I've come up with since then that I keep thinking, wow, that would have been a lot better. And it wasn't really necessary to bring the night sky colors back. We live and we learn, I guess. It's not really the first time I've done this border in my journal, but this particular color combination of the dark blue with the dark red just rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. At least it's not so bad that it makes me want to throw my journal out or anything super dramatic like that. Man, can you imagine? This isn't even one of the cheapy journals. 160 GSM paper, baby. I guess that's not really that expensive, but it's a rather big difference from the first one I got at Michael's for $5. I feel like if I looked at a piece of paper and even thought of using the wrong kind of pen or marker in that thing, it would bleed through without me even using anything. When I first started with bullet journaling, I struggled to maintain a theme at all. I think it was because everything was so new to me that I wanted to try so many different things, and usually feeling like I had to stick to a certain set of rules felt too constricting to stick to for an entire month. It wasn't even until late 2022 that I felt like I was consistently able to stick to a theme, and it felt like such an accomplishment. I was quite dreadful at art at the time as well. Not implying that I'm great now or anything. I've at least learned some techniques that make the whole process easier and better aesthetically. Although I started out just doing mainly the basic traditional bullet journal combined with a little bit of art, basically. Maybe one day if I'm feeling brave or like having a laugh with the internet or something, I'll pull out my first bullet journal and we can all have a laugh. I do want to say that I'm not sure having a monthly theme is necessarily the norm. So if you're watching this and thinking, well, I don't maintain a theme or do anything fancy in my bullet journal, I reassure you that you aren't alone. It might seem like the norm because the people who are showing off their bullet journals are the ones that make themes, and that's pretty much why they're showing off their stuff in the first place, I think. I don't think the majority of people who have other hobbies actually go that far with the aesthetics. I think 1 month for fun, I might film an anti-theme. That would be fun. It's not going to be March though, because I think I've already decided on what I'm doing for that, and I sure hope I'm able to get it up at least before mid-March like a sane person. Gentle reminder that time is a social construct. And it looks like it's time for the flip through. Hopefully this was enjoyable to watch and provided at least some form of entertainment or value for you. If it did, be sure to head bonk the thumbs up, you adorable kitten you. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!